Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Life at the Nut House. Today I want to share with you a recipe that I use quite often. It's an all-purpose bread dough and we make it in bulk form and we store it in the refrigerator, and this dough lasts me up to 2 weeks, but usually we end up using it way before 2 weeks is up. So we're going to start by using this bucket. Now you can use whatever you have, but this bucket allows me to write the recipe on the side. And also I'm using a scale, which in this recipe I like to use, and they're not very expensive. They're like 10 bucks at Amazon. So we're going to start with our liquid, which is 700 grams of water, and you want this water to be lukewarm, and we'll start by putting that in the bottom, and then we will add 1 tablespoon of yeast. Also, I'm going to be using a dough hook or a dough whisk. You don't have to use that either. You can use your hands. But it's just things that I have on hand that make it easier. And when you're cooking from scratch, anything that makes it a little bit easier is well worth the investment, in my opinion. So we're going to mix this yeast up pretty good. That's the dough whisk. We're going to mix it up, and we're going to add 50 grams of oil. Now I'm using some avocado oil, but you can use olive oil, probably even butter, any oil that you use in your home. We'll add that into the bottom too. So now we're going to add our sweetener or our yeast feeder. I'm using 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar, but you can use maple syrup, you can use honey, you can use brown sugar, you can use whatever sweetener that you want. This just feeds the yeast, and that's what gives you your rise, is the yeast feeding on that sugar. So I think the next thing we will add is our salt, and that's 20 grams of salt. And this scale makes it so easy to make bread, especially if you're doing, recipes in grams. To me, it makes an easier way to do dough. I mean, the cups and all of that, I still use that. But, a more accurate way to make bread is with a scale. But if you don't have one, hopefully you can get one, or maybe you can look how to convert the grams to cups online. Anyway, when we get the salt in, I'm going to mix that up, and then we're going to add our flour. Now I'm choosing to use half bread flour and half all-purpose flour. You can do all of either one of them, or all purpose or all bread. It's totally up to you. This is just what I have, and what I decided to use today, and that's going to be 1,000 grams of flour. Now this makes a bulk dough. I'm going to let this rise on my countertop for about 1.5 to 2 hours, and then I'll show you what it looks like, and we'll put it in the refrigerator. And any time that I need dough this week, I will pull out some. For instance, I'm going to show you a Stromboli I made. You can also use this for pizza dough, for garlic bread, for dinner rolls, for cinnamon buns, cinnamon raisin bread. You can use this starter dough for so many recipes. Now I do enjoy making, fresh bread. In other words, using my bread machine. Over here I have some cinnamon bread going, but this is for days where maybe I've had to go to town, or maybe my children have things out of the home we're doing, and I'm gonna need maybe some garlic bread or a quick pizza, or even this quick Stromboli that I made. it just makes it so much easier because the dough has already risen, so you don't have to wait forever for it to rise, especially if you're doing like a Stromboli or a pizza. Now, you would have to let it rise if you're going to do a loaf of bread with it. Sometimes I'll pull out 1 pound and measure it, and then I'll let it rise, you know, for bread. But typically I like to make my loaf bread with a different recipe, so this is just for like a quick meal or a quick bread that I need. Now, when I'm mixing this up, if I see any dry bits at all, I'm gonna sprinkle in some water. My goal is that all of this loose flour bits are incorporated in the dough. It will be straggly and it will not look very good, but just as long as I've got all of that dough and that extra flour mixed in, it's going to work great. Now I'll get in here with my hands just to make sure that all of that is incorporated. And then, like I said, we're going to let it rise for around 1.5 hours to 2 hours. It really depends on how warm your kitchen is. I'm going to show you when we're finished a Stromboli that I made with this dough. And I still have a little bit of dough left in the refrigerator. I may make some what we call pizza bombs. You take a piece of the dough and roll it out and put you a cube of mozzarella, a little bit of sauce, and 1 pepperoni, and then you form it into a ball. And then you bake it with some butter and garlic and Parmesan on top. It is so, so good. But anyway, here it is, and I'll show you. Here it is risen for about 1.5 hours, and then I'm going to show you we're cooking up our pepperoni, and we're rolling and making our Stromboli, which is just rolled out dough with any toppings you want. And that's going to be it for this video. I hope you try this out and let me know what you think, and we will see you next time.